Well, hello and welcome. This video is going to be part one of a three-part series of me painting in my sketchbook. You will see I have a pretty light wash of some blues and greens, and now I'm adding in a kind of neutral gray area. The photo I'm using for reference is one that I took when we were on a family vacation at Glacier National Park. It was a fantastic sunny blue sky June day, and there was still some snow in the mountains out there. And this is just a photo taken alongside the road, and so I really like painting memories, especially memories of like places I've gone and road trips. And so I'm just working on that, and I wanted to bring you along for the duration of this painting. So this painting is shown in real time. There are times where I take breaks from painting to let everything dry, but other than that, this is real time. So I'll be using a couple different paintbrushes. I just switched to one of my well-loved brushes. It's like a liner or a script brush. It's not by a very specific brand. It's just one I have laying around that I was given a couple years ago. I think it was my grandparents' neighbor used to be a ceramist. So she used this paintbrush with glazes for pottery. And I really like this one for details and work. And the other brush that I was just using is a big, giant round brush. That brush is kind of like my pride and joy. It is my only all natural hair brush. And the person that made it, it was Paul Jackson, a watercolor artist. He made that paintbrush, and it was part of his last run of paintbrushes that he made. And so it was just really special, and I really like it. It holds a lot of water. It comes to a fantastic point. And so that's the only paintbrush that I've ever really splurged on. A lot of my other ones are ones I've been given or bought here and there, but not as expensive as that other brush. So you'll see my little mixing tray to the upper right has a whole bunch of colors that I have mixed, and so I can go in there. I kind of call this my palette mud. Sometimes I mix colors up beforehand, and other times I just let my colors dry in my palette, and I just go in there and grab whatever I need because, you know, watercolors, you can let them dry out and then just add water and they work again. It's really fantastic. And when I work with watercolors, I really like to do layering. So you'll see that on top of this gray-blue color, I'm adding some golden brown. It's probably my yellow ochre and burnt sienna. And so I can layer on top of dry layers of watercolor. And since watercolor is a transparent medium and you water it down with water, you can see hints of the color that is below what you are putting on top. And so you can add some really subtle variations to things or just really liven up a painting. Sometimes when I paint, I not just use a brush kind of like a pencil, I will use the side of the brush to make a broader stroke, especially when it is such a I would call this like a narrow paintbrush, because it comes to such a fine point, but the bristles of the brush are really long. So I can really use the side of the brush to make wider strokes. If you think about it, it's kind of like if you're drawing with a pencil, you can hold the pencil more parallel to the paper, and that would make a wider pencil mark. So I'm still layering on that golden brown color, just doing some really light washes. So it's pretty well watered down, so you can kind of see the color that's underneath it still. Just building up some depth with some light washes. You will notice in this sketchbook for this painting, I put some washi tape down along the edges of the paper. It's because I wanted a nice white crisp border. And because this paper is 92-pound test with the cold press texture in the sketchbook, I have noticed painting on the paper, it kind of curls up. So I just used 2 clips on the right hand side to clip this page to other pages to help keep the paper flat as the watercolor and the water on the paper dries, so that it decreases the buckling effect. So you'll see this wash of the golden brown. I took a little break, and so the paint dried up, so I used even less water in my paintbrush, and so that makes this color, this mixture of watercolor paint, darker, because when you have less water, the pigment is more saturated. It's not watered down, so it appears darker. And if you want something lighter, you just add more water. Many times for watercolor paintings that I paint, I use the white of the paper along with different amounts of water to make the colors lighter or darker. But in this little sketch here, in the third part, you will see that I use white gouache for all the white areas. And then these dark areas you'll see will help map out where the trees go in part 2 of this little video series of me painting in my sketchbook of Glacier National Park. You'll see my pinky finger resting on top of the washi tape. That's so I don't smudge the wet painted areas. I try my best not to rest my hand too much on the painting, just in case there is a wet area. And yes, I have worn the paint many a times on my hand after resting it in some wet paint. So I am still using my liner brush here to squiggle in some dark green for some trees that are kind of in the foreground. I mean, this is pretty well at a distance, this landscape, but this will be the closest area to me when I was taking the photo. So just adding some nice deep greens there of some, I believe they were fir trees. You'll see just right now, I went through and softened a hard line with my paintbrush by adding water to my paintbrush and then running it alongside the already painted area. And the side that I ran along, you'll see that it softened and kind of bled a little bit into the wet area from the paintbrush. So that's just something I really like to do if I don't want a hard edge on all sides of the little area that I'm painting. So here I am softening that edge again with just some water on my paintbrush and pushing the pigment around with my paintbrush. If you are enjoying the process of me painting real time for this painting of Glacier National Park in my sketchbook, please make sure to hit the like button so that I know you like it. And I would love for you to leave a comment about if you ever traveled to any national parks, which one is your favorite? I'm really interested to hear where you've gone that has been your favorite. Maybe I've been there before, maybe I might go there. It'd be really fun to see where you've been and which one is your favorite. And don't forget to subscribe to see more videos like this. And I hope this has given you some ideas and inspiration for painting in your sketchbook some of your travel memories. You don't have to be there in person to paint. Sometimes it's fun to paint in your home afterwards, after you recoup from the trip. And make sure to watch next week's video, or if you're here in the future, to jump to the next video for part 2 of me adding in the darks to help define this painting of Glacier National Park. Thanks for watching, friend.